Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Psych YouTube channel, where today I'm going to be talking about Frank Lampard getting sacked by Chelsea. But before I get into that, make sure that you click the like button if you like it, of course. Subscribe if you're new around here, and why not click the notification bell so you don't miss an upload. It would be rude not to. And make sure you follow my Instagram, which is kind of there somewhere, the Football Psych, so you can join in polls and Q&As and stuff like that. Now that's done, let's talk about football. So Chelsea Football Club have sacked Frank Lampard, their top goal scorer of all time, arguably one of their best ever players. He won everything there was to win at the club. Premier Leagues, FA Cups, Champions League, come third in the Ballon d'Or one year. And they've sacked him after 18 months in charge. He spent £200 million in the summer, brought in a lot of, players with prospect and some who were kind of hitting the ground running. Thiago Silva, an experienced player, a new goalkeeper, Werner Havertz, Chilwell, and he's been sacked. That's it. He never got a chance really to put his stamp on the team as such. I think people have been, well, he's had 18 months. Yes, but if you're trying to build a project, that doesn't happen overnight. When you bring a lot of new players in, what's it, 5 or 6? Well, Werner, Havertz, Chilwell, Mendy, Thiago Silva. I might be missing someone, but so 5 players in one window, or across 2 windows. That's a lot of new players to come in to an already young team. A player with some experience, people like Azpilicueta, but he doesn't play anymore. He's still the club captain. So it's a young and upcoming team who are learning a lot about themselves in every big game they play. And, the new additions were young on the whole as well. So it was always going to take time. I think the obvious comparison is Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool. He was given time. He was really shaky early on, and he's got a CV already in place. He'd already been at Dortmund and other clubs and done really well, won things, achieved as a manager. He's always settled into his career when he joined Liverpool. So Lampard, after spending a year at Derby, or not even a year, just a season, come in, and although they were 6th when he took over and they finished 6th when he left, there was more of a feel about the club, and he brought the likes of Tomori and Mount over, and they were players of the season, to be honest. And I'm not a Derby fan, but I watched quite a few of their games because Lampard was in charge, and they were playing some really lovely attacking football. And then Chelsea phoned. Maurizio Sarri got sacked after winning the Europa League. It was just a bit of a toxic relationship with him and the fans, to be honest. He never embraced the kind of culture around Chelsea, or didn't try to kind of become a Chelsea man, if that makes sense. He just come in and he's a dictator in the way he manages, and never really kind of opened his arms up to the club, and didn't really know what it meant to be a manager of an English team, but did well. Sarri ball is questionable, but he got sacked, so him and Chelsea parted ways. He went off to Juventus. And then with the transfer ban looming over Chelsea's heads, it was an obvious decision, to be honest, for Lampard to come in. Was it the right one? No. I didn't want him to come in because I thought this might happen. I didn't have a crystal ball. I wouldn't have been able to tell you the way it happened, but it was always going to be difficult. 1 year of management as a head coach, that's nothing compared to what some of the other managers got in the league. And it was great, our best ever player, my idol in football, to take over Chelsea Football Club and lead the way. It was amazing. And that first game at Stamford Bridge and the atmosphere, that's what we didn't have with Sarri. So it was always going to be there with Lampard, but it was too good to be true. The romance was written in the stars, but things come crashing down, to be honest. We had really good spells. We started unbelievable under Lampard. Unbelievable, playing some ridiculously good football. Mount, Tammy were firing. Pulisic started to come into his own, but you got to remember we lost Eden Hazard, best player, transfer ban. So that's why he come in, because he was always going to give the youngsters a chance, and he didn't actually have a choice in the end. That's kind of all we had. We signed Kovacic on a permanent deal because of a clause in his loan deal. So he's the only player who come in as an addition to the squad. So it was a tough ask, and people say fourth place is not an achievement. We were slating Arsene Wenger for years and Arsenal fans for accepting fourth, but it is an achievement. And under the circumstances, in the context, which is key, the word context, Lampard did really well. We lost Eden Hazard, like I said, couldn't sign anyone else, and there's definitely improvements needed in that squad. So it was give the youngsters a chance, and they shone. People were slating Mount for playing every game, but look at him now, he deserves it. He's probably our most consistent performer. At least he wears his heart on his sleeve. But even though it was a special circumstance, and being Frank Lampard, you thought he'd get more time, Abramovich has decided that the model he's still trying to follow is win at all costs and win trophies, and he clearly didn't see that with Lampard. No, he didn't get given a fair chance, but it was frustrating. It's been quite painful to watch Chelsea in recent weeks, even though finished top of the group and still in the FA Cup and haven't beaten a top 6 team yet this season. And it's a bit worrying because the big games are where you kind of see where you're at, and we've been struggling in that aspect. But what's important, I think, to touch on is it's not factual, or at least not completely factual, but there's stories coming out that some senior players, including the likes of Rudiger and Kovacic, who have been going to the board and senior members of staff above Lampard's head to basically get rid of him, to complain and ask why there's nothing being done about the situation. And people like Azpilicueta clash with him. And what's been really interesting as well is seeing who's come out and spoke about him, and it's been all the young players plus Mendy and Thiago Silva pretty much. So all the English boys and them senior players and Azpilicueta. People like Rudiger, you're trying to create some toxic atmosphere, and you don't play. You're on the fringe of the squad, and you think players have got too much power nowadays, and they really do, and I mean that. They've got so much power, not just because of their money and they're an asset to the club, but how is that allowed to happen at a club like Chelsea? Players allowed to walk in, to the boardroom and talk to these members of staff and have a say. It's like, you're a player. Your manager is your manager. He's trying his best here, and I don't know if that was a factor, but he's gone. Some players weren't happy with him. I think maybe the way he dealt with people like Marcos Alonso, when Marcos Alonso got subbed off, he stormed off down the tunnel and got in his car, or tried to get in his car, and Lampard gave him a dressing down in the changing room. And maybe some of the players didn't like that, but again, the manager is the manager for a reason. You respect that and you stay in line. You are a player. So there's a few kind of factors in play as to why Lampard ultimately lost his job. So where do we go now? He was trying to build a culture, more than anything, a culture at the club that's probably been gone in recent seasons, and that's evident in the likes of Rudiger, and I'm surprised at Kovacic, to be fair, but the likes of them two going above Lampard's head and not speaking to him, but going to board members. That's been going on a while now. Conte had problems at Chelsea. Sarri had obvious problems, but this deadwood that's been hanging around and looming over the squad's head has got to go, because just getting rid of Lampard doesn't fix the problem, which is ingrained in the club's fabric, to be honest. And I think it's got to change. But what message does that send to the players as well? You know, he's given the likes of Reece James, Mason Mount, even Tomori, who's gone to AC Milan, Tammy Abraham, you know, he's given him a chance. He's given him a lifeline. He's gone, you know, you're going to play. You're good enough, but you're going to play. And will Thomas Tuchel coming in, will that happen? It'll be interesting to see, because they're actually some of our best players, forget their age. So it's going to be interesting to see how he handles that one. But I'm gutted. I saw it coming. It was inevitable, but I just like to think that his reputation will not be tarnished. He's still a legend. That will never change. And hopefully he can go and work on his craft, get some experience under his belt, and come back one day in the future, maybe as a head coach, maybe just coaching staff, but maybe he could do with being an assistant for the moment. He did well at Derby, he did well at Chelsea under the circumstances, but it's a lot of pressure being in the firing line as a manager. And people like Arteta, obviously, as I spoke about in the Q&A the other day, spent some time under Guardiola, you know, learning the trade, you know, but not in the firing line, learning behind the scenes and being there on a match day, but in a slightly different role. So yeah, what's next for Lampard? He'll probably take a bit of time off. He's got a baby on the way, and it's probably going to take some time to kind of, you know, really get his head around this, and it's actually happened. But like I said, any Chelsea fan, any real Chelsea fan anyway, don't read Twitter. It'll be absolutely heartbroken that their club legend had to go like this. Should we have given him longer? Yes. But was I surprised? No, to be honest, and it was always bound to happen. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Once again, you probably didn't learn anything. It's just me having a bit of an emotional pouring out of the heart, to be honest. But yeah, a slightly different video. Kind of, you know, didn't touch on psychology too much, but we don't need to do that every video. This is very topical, what happened yesterday. But yeah, I hope you did enjoy it. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you're new around here, click the bell, all that jazz, and I will see you in the next one.
Been crying so much to the poltergeist, trying to hold on to love, but it's frosted.